Welcome back to Flanks06 channel. Today I have another unboxing video here for you guys, and no, this isn't the box that I already unboxed. This is actually the Tanares Adventures Ultimate box. So previously the box that I had done was the returning backer storage boxes. This is the pledge that was available, I think around $180, $190 or so dollars, and basically is like the basic core box of the game without all the other extra expansion content. So there is still a lot to go through, and I'm going to try to do what I can to even show you not only just how to the unboxing of it, but then eventually how to do the storage for this box as well. Okay, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and like and comment on this video. That helps me a ton, so keep it up, guys. I really appreciate your feedback so far, but let's jump into it. All right, welcome back. Just pulling off the lid here, you can already see that the front of this box is very different than our storage boxes were with the returning backer pledge. So in here, it looks like we have 3 different miniature trays, followed by a card box that's somewhat similar to the ones that we saw in the storage box. And then it looks like there's a game board and some books down here at the bottom. And then in the top, shown here, we have all of our punch-out tile pieces, which of course, you know, standard to play. In fact, this actually reminds me, I had a backer recently tell me that they had like these, well, these are green. These are the green portals, altars. And these are the red portals that come in this ultimate box, which is slightly different because I think we only ever had the purple portals, but this one seems to come with a green one. I believe that is basically potentially for like a boss versus boss, but I could be wrong on that. But anyway, fundamentally it's all, you know, pretty much the same. And then tile wise, yeah, these look exactly like the same tiles that were offered before, so we'll get into that one later. And then basically we can go through each of these trays here in a second, and you can see what they all look like. All right, welcome back. So right here we have that set of tiles here, and all the punch boards that can be used. Just getting my knife out so we can get into this here. Shouldn't be too many surprises, but you know, it's always kind of fun to see what other things I'm not even aware of sometimes, because I will sometimes help with production things, but maybe not necessarily, you know what's coming in every single box. Which, by the way, if you're just now following the channel for the first time, I am James. I am the community manager for Dragori Games, so it's kind of my job to kind of help the community, you know, either communicate with the company, understand things better, and provide as much content as I can, in, you know, really whatever fashion. All right, anyway, so right here are the boards, two-sided, of course. So that's the first one, which we basically saw, followed up here. So these are a lot of the room tiles that will be used in the campaign. These are the skill tokens that each hero will have. So you should have, each hero will have 4 skill tokens at any one time. Now there's a lot more of the Roman numeral 1, because at the beginning of the game, like I said, each hero will have 4, so you could have up to 16 being used. Then as you go further in the campaign, there will be only so many level 2s and so many level 3s that will be used at any one time, but it won't be 16. So that's why you'll have less of those. Then we got ice tiles here. This here is a planar rift tile, which basically allows you to be able to spend movement points to move another character instead of yourself. And then right here is a lot of the villain tokens that are used, and then the hero class tokens just that will be used around the health tracking board. We'll see later. And on the back, you'll see here's the 70 plus side of them. And then these little tokens here are the tokens that villains use when they are either helping their team, like these ones. This is the preserved symbol here, which is why there's a 5. If your character gets to 0 HP, they can use, well, you would use this preserved token, and usually villains are going to do this to their own, you know, team, but if they get to 0, then they revive back with 5 hit points. This here is protected 3, so that raises their defense by 3 points, essentially giving them a 15% better chance of not being hit. All right, next up here, and this is, you know, always good that these popping out here. Lots of terrain tile pieces for lava. We have stairs, which your hero is going to start on. Quest tokens, which will be used in quests. Here's some doors, switches, and then these little tokens here are used for like maybe tracking certain effects that apply to like a certain hero for especially like the villains that they'll often use these. They're double-sided, of course, so now you have lava on one side, spikes on the other. All right, next up, a lot more walls, more room tiles there. And then down here we have empowered tokens. These ones, same thing, villains will be able to give to each other, or maybe you might be able to dispel or steal. But basically this, if a character has this, if they make a hit, they will get 3 additional damage on top of what they did. Living walls on the backside of these. I guess I didn't talk about the backside of these. So these are pretty much the opposites of each other. So empowered increases your damage when you hit by 3. Weakened reduces the damage that a character hits with by 3. So in this case, a villain would apply that to a hero. And then on the other, let me go back here real quick so we you know, capture it all while we're here. So on this side here, this eye symbol is the symbol of distracted. Basically means if you receive that, you will have a -3 to your roll. So let's say you rolled an 8. Your 8 technically counts as a 5, so that could basically make you miss. The other token with the little drop here, that is the bleeding token. And that one is basically you will take 2 damage for every movement point you spend to move in a turn. So if you move 2 squares using your movement points, then you would take 4 damage. Now, obviously the best idea is you want to try to reduce the amount of movement that you would take on that turn, so you only take the 2 and then nothing more than that. All right, next up here, we have, of course, you know, more tokens, except now these are the hex ones. So this allows you to do PvP of the circle hexes, or the circle tokens versus the hex tokens. More tokens here that will be used in the campaigns. So like orbs, XP, time tokens, little doors, ruins here. Basically, if you cross a ruin or you cut the corner of it, you need 2 movement points for each square that you enter. Down here are special tokens. These are only used in PvP. And then we have 70 plus tokens for being able to track additional life points, especially that's useful for bosses. And then we have another room tile there. And backside, this is swamp, pretty much exactly the same thing as ruins, just different cosmetic. Different art, same thing. All right, and here we go. So on this case here, we have altars, which I talked about earlier on. These are the standard purple. On the back side is green. So it's really just the same thing. It's probably like if you had team-based altar tiles that can only be used on each side. Same thing with the portals here. and another wall, and another room. So that's it for the tiles. All right, let's go to the top tray here. This one seems, so it has some villains here. We got the typical tray. So we have, I believe these are the standard dwarves here, followed by the constructs. This guy here is, like I said before, I believe he is the ghoul, and he's the guy that's eating another person. Pretty delicious there. We have the halfling rider. 2 of those, and then we have a Kemet berserker. You should only ever need 1 of these. If you ever did run in a situation where you needed 2, of course you could use, you know, a different Kemet miniature to fill that, but I don't think there's ever a situation that happens. And then we have 2 goblins. Last thing is we have snap-on bases here, circle and hex. So those for snapping onto the bottom of your miniatures to be able to especially track for like teams in like PvP or actually really it's mostly for the campaign is what you would use it for. And then mana cubes which power the skills on your skill pads. Alright, so those all just go up in this corner, and then we have the 2 D20 dice. So yeah, this next section, oh yeah, there's also the boss snap-on base, which I talked about in the other storage guide. It's sitting right here on top, and basically all this area looks like we're going to be filling in things. This looks like maybe a special token or some other things, some other token, circular small tokens, things along here. We'll get back to that and I'll show you where things fit, but let's come back to that later and continue on in the unboxing for now. All right, this next tray is completely full, so you don't have to worry about a thing here. This guy filled to the brim with miniatures. We have our warlord miniature here. He's kind of like your standard bad guy if you didn't have like a character specific one. You have this. Sentinels, they are used in the Wasteland Expedition campaign, and they can also kind of fit that role of a generic bad guy. We got spiders over here. A lot of these miniatures, of course, I've already shown in my storage guide video, so if you want to learn more, these are the soldier miniatures that came originally in Arena of the Contest. We have the sniper miniatures that also came in Arena of the Contest. Basilisk that came in Tanares Adventures. These ones here are the cultists that came in Tanares Adventures. And we have the specters. It's a pretty cool miniature. Followed by some reapers here, 4 reapers ready to go. We have then Kemet Spy. This is the Kemet Warrior, I believe. Next, we have the Kemet Necromancer. This is the Kemet Archer. Alright, and down here we have our Harpy. This is a Fiend here. This guy is the zombie, or fat zombie is what I call him, but officially he's called the zombie. We have the elemental here. Down here at the kind of the bottom part of this tray. Oh man, I always forget what this one is. Basically, it's like the Cthulhu-y guy. I think it's like Aberration or something like that. Next up, we have a gargoyle. And that's it for this tray. So this thing filled to the brim with tons of miniatures. Put it like that so we don't get these mixed up. Next one should be, yeah, a lot of the heroes. That's exactly what it is. All right, so we have commanders down here, controllers, tanks, brutes, shooters, tacticians, healers, bruisers, and then some of like the set pieces. So we have like the prisoners that are here, we have the orbs, we have the farmer, which with a very well endowed pig. If you never noticed that, it's kind of an interesting choice they took a long time ago. I love pointing that out to new people. Then we have the damsel here. And then we have chests and barrels down here at the bottom. All right, I guess the one thing I'll talk about this section is, so this is basically, right, the combination of Arena the Contest and this whole box, right, is the culmination of Arena the Contest components and the Tanares Adventure components. So in terms of Tanares Adventures, this pretty much includes like everything from the main game box. In terms of Arena, this includes everything that you needed to play or needed to use in Tanares Adventures to play. So some of the core box miniatures like Avalon and Neri over here, for example, and I'll just pull one of them out here so you can kind of see while I'm talking. Avalon here and Neri were both in the core box of Arena the Contest, and that's why they are the only two shooters in this box, because it's just, this is the balance that there was of there. So since commanders were a brand new class, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, there's 5 commanders. So actually you have a lot of commander options in this bundle. Of course, if you want to get other, hero options, we still have some, boxes that you would be able to get. But basically this is, intended to be a core experience. So this still has, I believe, all 8 classes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're still getting all of the different classes. You just may not get you won't have every single hero, of course, right, to play with, but it still gives you quite extensive amount to use here. And if you want more, you can add it on. The reason why I say this is because there was some questions that we'll probably get to here regarding hero cards, because I believe in this box you're gonna get hero cards for wow, it's kind of interesting, there's like little dots in this box. Anyway, you're gonna get hero cards probably for heroes that you don't actually own. Part of this has to do with the fact that of how like the previous game boxes were made, and some of them still like basically being available. So if you basically got the legendary box now, you wouldn't get the hero cards to use those heroes. So that's why they're in like a core box like this, because that's still pretty much the main item there that you would need. So all right, there is a lot in here. Here is the envelope of secrets, just like before. You get this deck of cards in here, and as you unlock it in the campaign, you'll get that one. We got a little like storage bag if you want to use that. Villain cards here, and then it looks like there's some of the boss cards on this one. NPC or character cards, often what we call them. This was one of the new ones right here. And then we have like some of the flask cards. And this looks actually almost basically like the same deck that there were almost before. Now that this one didn't have flasks because in the returning backer version. This one though, I believe is exactly the same because this one had the adventure cards and then Sephara on the back there. Here are the fate cards right here. We have some heroic actions. I'm sure there's plenty more in this box. We have the, let's see, monster or boss attacks right here. And then on this one is some of the comrade cards. This looks like they're special attacks for the comrades. We have some more boss cards, it looks like here. And then these are like the the new Tanares Ultimate Heroes attack cards right here. If you know, basically this box, I believe, doesn't include the stretch goal box with the Kemet Lords. So those are separate miniatures. I believe it's a separate miniature box that you can get if you backed the campaign at like a certain price level. If you didn't, of course, let us know, you know, you didn't get it because you maybe didn't realize that you didn't get the box or whatever else. We'll see what we can do about trying to, you know, get you that content, but definitely reach out to our customer service on that. You know, we have probably some extras, but you know, it's most of those will be for like, you know, replacement. So, but if you missed it, then there may be still a way to get it. All right, we have heropads here, which you're going to use in PvP. And then right here is one of the reference cards that you can use to kind of, you know, remember some of the rules, right, without having to pull out the rule book. We have our loot cards right there. Next up is our hero unique cards. I'm actually pretty curious about this one. I'll probably come back as I'm reboxing all of this in, but I think you should only get the hero unique card. Well, I don't know, maybe this is all of them. It doesn't look like it's quite enough, so it may just be the ones that come in this box. And then we have the legendary attack cards there. Legendary item cards, sorry. And then this is the items that come in Tanares Adventures here. So here's the starter items and then level 3 cards there. We have the ogre with a 2x2 base, which basically this guy is almost like the equivalent of like the core dragon here, except for 2x2 base miniatures. So if you didn't own like a box that had, you know, a 2x2 miniature, because I think there's like there's a demon lord and there's the titan and things like that. If you didn't own that box, you'd use this guy as your like proxy miniature. But this is still a pretty freaking awesome miniature, just even to proxy with, man. And then we have the core dragon himself. He is the 3x3 miniature, so you'll use that for any of the main bosses that you would fight. Yeah, anyway, same thing. If you don't own all of the miniature boxes, then he'd be your fill-in. All right, wow, I took it out and I already forgot where this went in. All right, maybe that's close. I'll probably look it up in the video later. All right. Pulling here, and I guess I could probably put this back. I'll go through these cards as I'm, you know, starting to rebox this. But there is, yeah, look at all this. Woo, boy. This thing is filled to the brim of cards, and I'm sure I already messed this up because There's so many of these little packs of cards. And I'll figure it out later. All right, so that is the card box. We're almost even at the end of this thing to begin with. All right, so we have the Forteller promotion here, which I talked about in the previous video. Basically, go to that QR code. If you missed out on Forteller, you can still get it. It is at slightly higher price than it was before, but you know, that's basically kind of how Kickstarter is. If you can kind of get in early, you get a better deal on things. But anyway, it's still very much a great product where you're gonna get over 30 hours of audio. Just that first book is almost, I think it's like almost 9 or 10 hours just for that first book, and that doesn't even include book 2, book 3, and then the extras book. So there's a lot more coming. And then we have our Odalin promotion here with the hack and slash alternate mode right there for you. All right, let's pull out the bottom of this, which basically has foam around the bottom. Now, let's just look at this. See, you can see it's like this foam piece that goes around like this. Since there's not like another, you know, tray thing to hold all of this, I'd probably suggest holding on to this and keeping it in your box, just so you can kind of try to keep this a little more under control and it not slide around. But we'll try once we get this all, you know, unboxed here later. And then basically this last thing is the books, Skillpads, game board, map, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So in terms of unboxing, we've done a lot of this unboxing already, but we will look back at these as we're kind of going through. So this is already, you know, tied up, but basically this is the Skillpads, like I said. So there's Commander, one here on the back side of this, there'd be Healer, and then over here, this one's going to be Brute, and on the back side of this, it'd be Shooter. And we have our game board here, trying not to slice and dice myself up. Hope this has been helpful for you guys. I know some of the other videos have been pretty popular, so make sure to like, comment, and share them with other people too, definitely. All right, so this is the official game board. I have this one in my main storage box, but basically this is the map here. One thing I'll mention on this one is, you know, we use this one as like our primary PvP board, just because it's a great board in the official PvP tournaments that we run. I will say though that there is a quest that does use this. It's near the end of the game, but just so you're aware, there is actually a quest that uses this pre-made board, so you don't have to build it on that. And then pretty much for, you know, primarily everything else, you're going to use this generic side and then build your board on that. And there's all these like skeleton pieces and stuff like that on there. Great stuff. We have the poster map here. This is actually the original poster map. Well, actually, maybe it is slightly different. I'm not sure. But this one's, it actually, well, I don't know. I think it is the same. It's possible that this version, this area got updated, and then the section here on the back for the Imperial Tanares world map here, that this section was updated. But I think this is pretty close to like what Tanares Adventures originally came with. Now, obviously, we have like a board version that came in the returning storage version, and you could buy it separately. But for most people that are buying this, they don't necessarily want, you know, every premium part. They just want to be able to play the main game, and that's exactly what you got here. All right, so we have a quick start here. I believe I mentioned this before, but there's a section right here that talks about like the city book. That is a bit of a errata here. There is no city book. So the quick start is basically where you want to start with this is just going to the first book. So I'll get here in a second, but basically here is the campaign log, which I showed previously. The rule book for PvP. The rule book for the campaign, PvE, all that. I showed this already before as well. One quick note actually is I've had a number of people say that they don't understand like some of the expansion stuff, and we're especially confused by I think like the hero cards. Well, it's actually described on this page. So page 77 is this section called Appendix F, using expansions. And it actually talks about how to use the different expansion products. And in that same vein, if you don't own these expansion products, this tells you essentially what's in them. So if you're confused as to like, you know, for example, why you got like the hero cards, it's because they belong in from like the legendary box or the penumbral collection. But anyway, that section can be helpful, so I definitely check that out to read up on. And that is that book here. We have the extras book here, which covers all the Wasteland Expedition. But if you are starting for the first time, you want to start with this book here. So weeks 1 and 2. And there's this introduction section here. But really, and so then there's a lot of like little sections in here. You don't need to memorize this, but things that are good as reference information about orbs, tokens, Kemet Hunt, the different symbols that appear. This is really a reference kind of page. But if you are starting for the first time playing this game, and so this will be used later here, but right here, start here. This is page 5, the Epic Campaign, and start in this section. This is a walkthrough. This beginning is like a mini game to kind of help you select your heroes, but pretty much after this, it's going to take you into, so you're going to follow this here. It's going to talk about hero selection. Then it's going to give you some information essentially on how to play the game, what the components are, how to set up game boards, skill pad, you know, starting to take out things, how to read a quest, read through this whole section, and then you'll start the first tutorial. And then it'll, as you're going through this, you'll start walking through how to do this first room. Basically, and I have a video on this as well, if it's still valid as it was back when we did it in Tanares Adventures. Definitely still valid. But basically, this teaches you like how to move, how to interact with objects, going through a door. This is like the first combat section where you use attack cards and try to understand how to make attacks, how to miss, how to make villains walk through, you know, dangerous terrain like spikes. And then the next part will go into how to use your skill pads and how to battle essentially stronger minions here. Then the next section will teach you like how to use equipment, but it's all explained in here. So back to my original point is you can use the quick start to basically assemble your team, looking at this real quick to understand like how the basic rules of the game work. This is all still very valid. Just ignore this section here because that is an errata. Okay, so hopefully that helps you kind of get going if this is your first time checking out Tanares Adventures Ultimate. Then we have week 3 book here, week 3 and 4 book, and then 5 and 6, which is basically the finale of the campaign. Okay, so that's actually it for the main unboxing part. We'll come back to look at some of the components as we start filling the trays. All right, welcome back to Flasks 6 channel. I'm going to begin the storage process here for the Tanares Ultimate box. I've kind of gone through this and hopefully be able to kind of explain the components as we're putting everything away. Of course, if you think, I did something wrong, let me know, but I'm pretty sure that this is how it is going. So start off so this is what the tray here looks like with everything except for like the miniatures. If you're unsure about where the miniatures go, this is what they look like. So we have the ghouls up here, the constructs, the dwarves, the goblins down here, the berserker warrior, and then the 2 halfling riders, and then we have the 2 dice already in here in those positions. So that should be able to kind of get you started. You can kind of see the components that I have around here. Pretty much, well, all of this is from the plastic inserts, or the cardboard punch outs that come at the top of the box, so you'll find it in there. All right, let's first look. Here are the mana cubes. The mana cubes are going to be used with player skills on the skill pad and power those abilities. There's all kinds of different colors based on each class, and then there's black ones that will be used as fatigue cubes for the enemies. All right, this right here are snap-on bases. There is circular and hex ones here. We're going to put one of those bags right here. We'll get to the other one here later on. All right, so let's start filling in this area right here for all of the different tokens, and I'll try to explain them as we go. So there's a few different spots here that are they're basically all kind of like generic slots that are about the same size. So you can probably really kind of mix and match however you think is best. But I will say that I've kind of grouped up some of these. So like these are all the hex tokens. So you have hex and circular tokens because in PvP, that's a way to basically have of 2 different teams. So like here is the controller token there in a hex shape. And here is the circular version, which would be like on the other team. And so that's how you'd be able to track the different health points on the board. You have other things here like villain tokens there's like I said, hex and circular versions. Same thing with like these dragon boss tokens and these character ones for like different prisoners and things you can save. But otherwise, I take all of my hex tokens here, and I'm going to put them here in this left tray tile. I mean, I'm trying to put, now it's probably looking a little messy right here, but I'm trying to put all of the like light components, right? So if you have the classes and villains, the classes going together and then like the villain characters going together, then I would do that. But anyway, that is where I'm putting the hex tokens. All right, next up here we have even more, this time it is circular tokens. And a lot of these are just kind of a mix. There's these 70 plus tokens that are blue, the 70 plus tokens that are red. There's more of these kind of minion guys, except a circular version. There's an XP token, there's a time token, there's orbs, doors, that look like, these. There's walls. So there's a lot of just different tokens here that are generally used for different events like in your campaign. I am going to put them down here in this slot. Like I said, you could kind of mix and match these however you see appropriate. For me, this is, kind of just picking things that are somewhat close together and then, putting them in the slots there. So there's plenty of extra room there. Let's move to the next circular token pile, which is actually pretty close to this first version here, except instead of being hex, it is circular. So we have a lot of the class tokens here, the villain tokens, There's a couple of these first aid tokens which your heroes will use, and like a villain token and boss token that are all circular. But we're just going to put those basically in the spot just next to it. So that way we kind of know that all of our very similar but circular type, tracking tokens are all right next to it. Okay. And then basically, yeah, you should have plenty of extra room. You can kind of lay these down more if you want or whatever. Let's move on to these two spots here. So there's, there's a couple different things here. So let's do these ones next. So these are square tokens. The square tokens are basically a lot of the things that are on the map. So like this token here would be used for placing on the map to represent like your door. So these are all small doors because they're one by one. There's switches in here. There's quest items that your heroes will find depending on, which quest you're playing. And then there's a lot of these like key and hook and torch and book and things like those. Those are basically other quest items that your heroes will find in quests. So they're all square. They all go on the board part of the game, but you can also just fit it into one of these slots there. So I'm just gonna fit it in here and boom, there you go. All right, we have a couple more to go. So next up are our skill tokens. There's versions that are say like 3, Roman numeral 3, Roman numeral 1. And then there's also, let's see, here we go, a 2 as well. There's backsides. That's how you know like which version is which, just based on the color. So red is 3, blue is 1, and green is 2. But anyway, you can just place all of these skill tokens together in the same tray. You can kind of put them sideways. They're a little smaller than the circular tokens, so they may not actually sit straight up, but you should be able to get them all in here pretty easily. And just kind of put them in there. And even if you need to, right, you can kind of slide some into a side place there and it goes perfect. All right, so hopefully you guys can see that. All right, next up is the condition tokens. So these are condition tokens. You're not going to have a condition token for every single condition in the game. These are only condition tokens that the villains will put on the heroes. The heroes can use their attack cards to track their effects. But villains don't have attack cards. That's why you have condition tokens. So like, for example, this one is the preserved. Basically, if your hero hits 0 hit points, then he would, or a character hits 0 hit points, they could come back with 5 health. On the back side is the bleeding token. And basically, if you have bleeding on your character, for every movement point they spend, they take 2 damage. So if you moved 1 square, you take 2 damage. If you move 2 squares, you take 4 damage. If you move 3, then you take 6, right? So you get the idea. Now, once it's been used, then it's gone. So these are all very, very small tokens. So we're just gonna put them into this spot here. You should also have some tokens for like each of the class. This could be like maybe some certain effect or something that's maybe specific to one of the classes you could put there. There's also like a time token on the back for like temporaries. But anyway, so that should pretty much all go in here. And I think these ones did sit up. It's always harder when you do this on camera than like when you're just sitting here doing this myself like I did the other night. But let's get this kind of standing up a little bit more. But I think it'll still basically all like fit in, even if you don't have it perfect, because I'm pretty sure there's like extra room in these spots as well. But anyway, so these are the condition tokens. Very very small tokens, so be careful. Definitely probably one of those ones that's a lot easier to lose. So There you go. All right, that finishes out the tokens area. We'll move on to the next section. We're going to do down here at this bottom right. As you can see, there's this area down here at the bottom right. We're going to go there. All right, first off, you'll see that there's kind of these 3 longer sections. Those are for walls. So there are different size walls. They're double-sided. Here is one of the wall sides. This is a 4 by 1 because there is 4 squares by 1 length, right? On the back side is a living wall, which will be used in some quests. But you should have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. And you can put all 7 in this top square right here. And it should basically kind of, you know, hug it in pretty safely. So, you know, not necessarily like super tight, but you know you're like basically at the top is like the lip of this thing. Is basically prevents it from moving around. That's how you know that you've kind of reached the limit on that one. And there actually is 2 more here that we'll get to in a second. All right, then we have 3 by 1s, same kind of thing, except I have 4 of these guys, and we're basically going to just place these into the middle, and they go in pretty easily there. Next up is we have 5 by 1s. There is 5 of these. And we are just going to place all 5 of these in this bottom slot right there. And they pretty easily go. Now you'll notice that there's like, kind of like a lip thing right here at the bottom. To me, it seems like a great spot to put these last 2. Because it basically is like just enough space here that you can kind of keep it from moving out. It can move back and forth this way, but it can't move this way. So it should basically always stay in there. If you put it on here, it's going to overflow and it's going to move around a lot more, which is why I put it in that bottom slot. All right, next up here is your boss base. When you play boss encounters in Tanares Adventures, you will use this snap-on base that will snap to the bottom of your miniature. You want to place this boss square over the top. The whole point of this is you are going to attack from different sides. These sides correspond to different parts of the boss. They have different parts of their abilities and will take damage. And basically, you're going to have to whittle them down on each side. Now, the boss can kind of move around. Sometimes it's a little difficult to do that when you're physically on the board. So we implemented this way basically where you can just change this without turning your boss. So that makes it a lot simpler to be able to use this than having to like pick it up and move it around and then have miniatures fall over. This is just way easier. You just turn that and boom, there you go. All right, and that spot is just gonna go right over the top, perfect fit in there. And then I put one of these are the circular snap-ons in the middle of that, and it just basically fits nice and snug in there. And no problem. You could probably put it up into this top area if you needed to, but it's, you know, it's a little more overflowing, which is why I put it down here. All right, let's move to this bottom area here. We're gonna go to that section next. This has a collection of different tiles. You'll notice these 2 spots right here are kind of like circular looking. This one's more circular and this one kind of has some edges because those are for your PvP tokens, for your special tokens. So this is the circular one, which goes in that slot. And then there's a hex version and you put it in there. There's a little lip basically for you to be able to grab it out later on. So that way it doesn't get stuck to the bottom. All right, kind of how I've divided up these bottoms is by lava tiles and ice tiles. So you can kind of try to group them as close as you can. But let's start with the first one. These are 2 by 1 lava tiles. There's spikes on the back. So if you'd prefer spikes over lava, you can do that. But those go up in this top slot there, no problem. Next up is we have a few different tiles. I have an altar tile, I have a portal tile, and then these lava tiles. You're gonna see basically these come up across the area because you kind of have to divide them. There's quite a few of the portal tokens out there. So we're just gonna put those at the bottom here. So one portal, one altar there. And then we have 4 2x2 lava tiles that will go on top. And it should, same kind of thing, fit just right. And I think that is it there. And then we can put a 2x4 over the top of this guy. And hopefully I didn't miss any pieces. I think I got it all. And it's just gonna go over that. That's this rightmost section. Essentially, we're gonna do the exact same thing, except now we're gonna do it with ice tiles. This one, there is 4 ice tiles here. And we are gonna put these puppies right there in that top section. There's 4 of those. We got 4 2x2 ice tiles and a portal. I'm gonna put this portal on the bottom. Put in my ice there, and then put a 2x4, 2 of these 2x4 ice tiles over the top of that. Boom, there you go. And of course you could kind of shift these into different places if you want, but I tried to do it somewhat, similar. However you want to do it. But anyway, there. Now we're going to go to this right spot here. There should be 2 large door tiles here. So you're going to have 2 of these. They are basically 1x2 or 2x1, I guess. And then same size, but for the walls, right, with the living walls in the back. And we're just going to place those all right there in that same similar top slot. Next up is we have these ruins slash swamp tiles. There are 4 of those that are 2x2, and then we have some more portal tiles. We are going to just place these portals here at the bottom. Then we are going to put our 4 2x2 swamp ruin tiles, whichever version you want, up there. And then we also have ruins and swamps here. Let's do the swamp side since we went swamp on the other, and it just fits right over the top like that. Perfect. All right, now we are going to jump up to the top. We'll come back and kind of finish out this section here soon. So we have a couple things. I'm going to start here with this section. So we have 2 3x1s tiles here. Lava on one side, spikes on the other. I'm going to put those on the right hand side in this kind of center area there, as you can kind of see. Follow that up with, like I said, you could kind of mix these however you want, but I have 3 of the altar tiles here. I'm going to place those guys over the top there, and they fit kind of snug, just so you know, but they do fit in the slot. Then we have 3x3s, 2 3x3s. These are lava spikes, and we are just going to place that over the top there. Perfect. All right, now we're essentially going to do the exact same thing again, but on this left hand side now, and this is going to be kind of like our ice slot here. So we have 3x1 putting in like the center vertical. Follow that up with 2 planar tiles and 2 stair tiles, and we are going to place those over the top. So these are all pretty interchangeable. If you think that there's probably a better way to organize putting these on there, definitely go for that, but just kind of giving you an idea of where the components can go. Then I have 2 3x3 ice tiles, and I'm going to place those on the top there. Perfect. So we got all the tiles basically in. Now there's only the rooms left to do. We have the more square rooms. There are 4 square rooms and then 2 rectangular rooms. We're going to take all 4 of these square room tiles, and you'll notice that there's kind of like there's a lip right here on this piece in the center, and then on these edges we are going to put all 4 room tiles down in that bottom middle section like this, and it sits basically pretty square. It moves just a little bit, I'll say. Just got to get it right in there, and then yeah. Now it can slide up like this, but once we put the top on, it really won't slide. So we put that in the bottom. Then we have the 2 rectangular room tiles. These are both double-sided as well. Same thing as the ones down here. And you can basically place this over the top. There's a notch area. Make sure I got it just in there. There's a notch area right over that. It kind of goes a little bit over, not too much. But you'll see basically now that we've completed the entire tile area here for this tray. You put the lid on, and see, these tiles don't even move. So there you go. That is how you complete the first tray of the Ultimate Tanares Adventures box. All right, welcome back. We're continuing the Ultimate Tanares Adventures box, kind of unboxing, storage guide, whatever you want to call it. We're working on the card box now, which I did actually open the cards, and I'll show you the cards as we go through, but this is what it looks like empty, and we will now fill it. Let's jump into it. You'll see that there is 2 smaller tray areas up here near the top. Those are meant for your mini Euro size cards. And then down here, oh, look, one got stuck there. There it is. The other ones are right here. These are all 4 different slots for poker sized, or this last one here is going to be used for our gold size cards, which we're actually going to go over first. All right, so gold size cards are these cards here, are also known as our villain cards in Tanares Adventures. The villain cards are really the primary component you're going to be using a lot when playing the campaign. They have a number here at the bottom that indicates which villain you should be using. You have your stats over here. You have the level of the villain, the name, their hit damage, who they're going to go after, effects, and then maybe they might have a passive. On the back side is a different color. So this one's red, which has a different favorite target than this one. And they do have different effects and usually some difference in stats. So like this one's 55 hit points and this one's 65. But anyway, these are the villain cards. They all go in order from 0 to, I believe, 100, going all the way up to number, let's see, 98. So there's a 98 card. Number 99 is actually the Penumbral Phoenix. I think if you bought that one separately, you should get a card for that, but I'm not sure because I haven't actually received it yet. But then you should go into the boss cards here, which will be used in different boss fights in the campaign. And they all kind of look like this with different colors, kind of like what I was talking before about the accessory tiles. These are those different sides of the boss. So you should have a bunch of these for different characters in here. Oh no, here it is, the Penumbral Phoenix. I had it in the wrong spot. Anyway, so that one is right there. And then the, and then you have like the Asmore. These ones are all related for Tanares, or the Wasteland Expedition, and then Silver Dragon here at the end. Okay, so what you're going to do with these cards is just take all of them, and let me grab number 99 here. I think that actually always confused people in the last Tanares Adventures, was they were like, am I missing card 99? And it was like, well, there is no card 99. But this one you're actually going to put in sideways like this, so it just sits here in the box like so. Next up is the Dragori envelope here. These are cards that you're going to unlock as you go through the campaign. Basically, as you start going through your campaign log, there's different tiers and different groups. So like one of the groups is the warriors. Once you get to tier 3, basically you would use this card here and then see what's on the back and what secret surprise there is. Keep all of these cards in this envelope. There's only one. And all of the different rewards will be basically unlocked through this area here. But keep this in this envelope and then keep it, at least I'm keeping it right here in that slot. There's also a little like plastic bag here, which you could probably use for saving maybe some certain cards or things that you want to hold on to. I could basically put it right here. I could put it kind of with this miniature. I think I'm just going to kind of put it in this this spot there on the side, and that's it for this slot. All right, we're going to go to this slot next. Now, somebody made a really good point on one of my videos, and I really appreciate your guys' feedback because it's always super important to get that. Was previously when I did the cards for the returning backer storage, I told people to put hero cards with their hero attack cards, which of course you can still do. That's not a problem at all. And I think it's at least helpful when you're first starting the game to kind of make those associations. But basically after you get through the tutorial, after you get through the first quest and first adventure, you'll notice that the back of these cards say character. So these are characters that you're going to be able to unlock over the course of the game. So there's a building called the Tavern, and when you do like the effect on it, it allows you to draw a certain number of cards. And then basically, like say you draw 3 cards, then I can pick between these, let's say it was 4 cards. You can pick a character to add to your basically group of characters you've unlocked permanently, and then you can play that character in the campaign. If you put them with the hero attack cards, then basically you got to go looking for these cards when you get to the city phase. So that was a really good comment. I completely forgot about that part. So just store them separately like this. You could also still, maybe, well, that's probably the best way to do it. But anyway, here are our hero cards. We're going to put them in here in a second. I'll show you where they go. Basically, right next to the hero cards, though, I'm going to be putting these attack cards here are for the new Kemet heroes. They are all special characters. So they fit a different class than the standard 8 classes. But these characters will still fulfill a lot of the roles of the existing classes. So for example, Zizena here is a special, but he has the passive here of the Brute, which is also kind of why he goes red, because that's the color of the Brutes. This one here, Solnertha, she is a special, but she's kind of going brown because that's the color of the commander, so she's a commander. And then we have Bromir here because he is a tank. Okay, so I have all of the specials attack cards here. So all of those hero unique cards, you can tell because their pictures are at the bottom. And on the back you can see, their art and the name of that character and what it goes with. So basically this set of cards is going to go with the same set here of the other hero unique cards. So starting here, I have my tacticians. So we have Garen, we have Rikaru, Magenta, and then we're moving into Brutes. Now remember, this box doesn't have all the same level of heroes, but kind of moving along, we have Qatar, Cedric, this one is Herodes, also a Brute. Then we move into the tanks. This is Girona, and they all kind of color match, right? So, oops, I missed one here. This guy should have been in that spot. Anyway, and then we have Rourke there, Sir Gregory. Then we're moving to the Bruisers with an Ariel. Each character has 4 unique cards. Moving to the healers. This is Tarum, Talia. We're moving, Ninx. So they all have 4. Zafara, Medusa, Yummy. I forgot her name the other day. I remember it now. The funny thing is, and Nero, I didn't even actually have to look it up. I just needed some sleep. That helped. Katarina, and then Avalon. All right, you kind of get the idea, and then we go into the commanders. The commanders all have pets. So Gladius goes with Skara here, so that's why you see her picture down there, and that's how you associate her character, her companion pet that will go with her. Okay, so that will be going in next. All right, next up are our role-based attack cards. These are the last ones that are going to go in the slot right here next to the villain cards. So what are the role-based attack cards? Well, when you're playing, you're going to have 4 different attack cards. When you begin the game, you're going to have 2 hero unique attacks based on which hero you've selected. And then you'll start off with these 2 level 0 initial role-based attack. So this is for the tactician. So as you can see, this is the symbol of the tactician. Over the course of the campaign, you'll start to level up. So as you see, there's like a level 1 there, moving up to level 2, which is the master, and then there's a level 3 here. But let's go over one of these level 2 cards. This is one of the new ones, and I've already kind of assigned these to all the others. But basically what this card is a way to still use your hero unique attacks over the course of the game. So in the previous version of Tanares Adventures, your hero unique attacks didn't really scale. This allows them to scale, so as you continue on, you'll be able to use this level 2 ability, which in this example gives you 1 mana cube, and then you can make a copy of one of the hero's original primary attacks, which is one of those unique attacks for those heroes like we were just looking at earlier. So you can use this in combination with that, so it doesn't take up, essentially another spot. So you just use this one and your hero unique that you want with it. Now, so as we continue on, you'll see that there are stronger cards here, even up to level 3. And then finally, there is the legendary version. So there's, legendary of each role-based attack. So this one's still for, tactician, but you'll see here at the bottom it says legendary. So this one is you gain 2 mana cubes, then make a copy of one of the hero's original primary attacks. So very similar to the other one, but now even stronger, giving you more mana cubes, which is actually pretty good. And then basically the rest of these is just all the other classes. So this one is the brute class here. So as we're going on, going up in level, you'll see, right, like I talked about before, here is the Master Brute card where a benefit of an enemy and one of you takes 5 damage, then make a copy of one of this hero's original primary attacks. So same thing as we're kind of moving along, legendary version. Then we get into the bruisers here, and I've placed these in here. I think they're separated into a different pile originally, specifically these master and legendary cards, but I've placed them basically in the correct spot, so legendary being the last card. And then we do the tanks, same thing, exact same situation for all of them. Then we move on to the healers, which are green, going all the way up to the legendary cards at the end, and then shooter and controller. So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea. Oh, and then commander. Almost forgot commander here at the end. So all of those will follow the same type of method as all the others. So now let's finally combine all these cards down and put them into the slot. So really what I'm doing is I'm taking all my role-based attack cards, that gigantic pile of them really, and I'm just gonna basically place them right here like that in a pile. I'm going to follow that up with my hero unique attacks right here. Since basically these are all going to be your like attack cards. Then the next one here, and make sure I got all my cards here together. But basically I'm going to take my special based attack cards, which we saw earlier, right? Kimimi and Romalade and Sarah and Zalir, killed Rolly, Urizard, the Kemet Lords, and all those. And we're going to place those in front of the role-based attacks. And then finally, we have the hero cards. And of course, you can kind of move these around however you'd like. But basically, I'm going to put these ones all here. There is actually a note about some of the hero cards that I'm going to get to in a second, or in a few minutes here, and you'll see another component here. All right, so that fills up this slot pretty full. Like I said, you can kind of move it out into some of the other two spots here if you would like, but this kind of just showing how I'm doing it here. Next up is our comrade cards. So comrade cards are a way for you to be able to play the game with a simplified hero. So normally when you play Tanares Adventures, you're going to use like these skill pads here. Well, these skill pads, you know, can provide, you know, some really cool interactions, but it also raises kind of the complexity of the game. You also have all these attack cards that you're going to be using and items. Comrade cards makes it a lot simpler, where you're going to use one attack card here, and then two of these special cards, a greater impulse and then a lesser impulse, and then the hero card for the hero character you're using, and then that's it. Now, to help scale these over the course of the game, you'll see that there's different levels. So up here it says Weapon Shop 1. So you're going to have Weapon Shop 1. Initially you get this for free, but over the course of the campaign you're going to spend resources to purchase higher level attack cards. So in this one you need Weapon Shop 2, and then you need 2 gold and 2 gems to get this one, and then you'd get the level 2 comrade card. So this goes all the way up to 7. And then finally we added a level 8 in Tanares Ultimate. This looks like a 1, it's actually an L here, but this is the level 8 legendary comrade card. Those were also in a separate pile, but I've moved them basically to the back here, so that way it's in order with all the others. And then basically all the other cards are very similar. So you're going to have Natural Lab 1, Natural Lab 2, Natural Lab 3, right, 4, 5, and it's kind of going up with your comrade level up to 8. So this is the healers. We have the bruisers next, same kind of method. Then we have the brutes, and basically when you use these abilities, it's going to just do something pretty simple like, you know, +1 to your roll attack, or you can move 2, you make the attack roll. If you're successful, you do 12 damage, and then you just choose like one of the effects. So in this case, it's just deal 3 more damage, or run to another enemy and 5 of you, and it takes 5 damage. Then it also tells you what you can do on an ally or villain's turn, which is very similar to like the skill pads. But the difference is it's just very simple. You either do damage or you're doing healing, basically, for all the comrades. So this is all the brute cards. We have the controller cards here, all up to level 8. Tank is the next one. Tacticians. Then we have the commanders. And there's also, right, you're going to have a commander pet. So this would be the commander pets card. And then you have the specials here. So you're always going to play at least with 1 full hero, and then you can have up to 3 comrades on your team, because you're always going to play with 4 heroes. So that's actually why there's essentially 3 specials of the greater impulse and 3 of the lesser impulse. because you can only ever have up to a maximum of 3 comrades. Okay, so that is the comrade cards there. I'm just going to place this here in the slot next to all the hero attack cards. Next up, we're going to look here at the city structure. So like I mentioned earlier, these buildings do level up. So you see at the top here, this is weapon shop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a level 8, which was, I think, also separated. So you want to make sure to put this with the other cards. So you have 1 through 8. Now, real quick, talking about what's on these cards, it actually tells you what level of items you can use. So 0, 0, your hero unique abilities count as level 0. So you'd use two of those primaries, and then you'd have 2 of these level 0 roll-based attacks. And then there is a weapon level 0 where basically you can use the starter level weapons. And then the weapon shop does this like unique effect during the city phase. On the back side, there's some information essentially kind of telling you what you need to do once you go to the journey phase. And that's what's on the back of these. So as you're leveling up, you're getting stronger abilities. So you can use 2 level 2s, 2 level 1s. You can use weapon level 2s. And then basically by the end, you can use a legendary ability, a level 3 ability, a level 2, and a level 1, and then a weapon level legendary card. So there is the weapon shop cards. Very similarly, there is the tavern. This one is the one that allows you to draw additional hero cards to unlock more heroes over the course of the campaign. And so basically you can kind of see very similar where you're going to level these up. Then there is the Iron Hand Outpost. And the other thing to notice too is this is for the classes that actually apply to this. So Bruiser and Tank, their abilities will level up when you level up this building. Versus like, let's go to the next city structure, which is like the natural lab. So in this case, this is the healer and the commander. So these abilities will level up when you level up the natural lab. And same thing with the tavern and the weapon shop, following all the same type of thing there. All right, so we're gonna put this here into that slot there. The next part these are the adventure cards. You can tell they have letters here at the bottom and like a name. And you will start off your campaign with this here, the Epic Campaign. And you can read this adventure card. The tutorial talks about this as well. But basically you're going to take this and go to campaign book 1, weeks 1 and 2, and go to page 5 and basically start from there. And then basically, yeah, so I'm going to take this deck of cards and I'm going to place this here. So now we have all pretty close to most of the campaign type related cards there. Now let's move on to the last area here. I guess these ones could go in here. I think this is a pretty big deck of cards, which is why I was putting it in this right hand side. But these are, see how they say character cards, kind of similar to the hero cards, except these are specifically NPCs. So these are, in fact, these are the initial ones right here. So you're going to start the game with these, and they're basically just used in like that city phase, and they provide like a very simple benefit. But over the course of the campaign, you're going to replace these initial characters with more powerful ones. So you see, like here, in week 1, you're going to be able to get characters like this one that gives you even a quest ability. For example, this one, change a level 0 attack of any roll for a level 1 tank or healer attack not in use. And then it also provides more powerful abilities to use during the city phase. So there's a lot of week 1 cards that you're going to get. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to randomly draw during the city phase to pull like one of these cards to basically recruit. And during the city phase, you'll be able to get these cards by spending basically the cost of these up here to get this, and then you keep that card and add it to your character deck. So they get more progressively stronger. You're going to want to use the week that you are in. So at the beginning of the game, right, you're in week 1. But as you go on here, you're going to get into like week 2. And they start getting stronger and stronger as you go on. I would like to mention that there is a few characters in here that were new, that were in a separate deck, like this character, for example. Originally the deck that it came with, this is one of the new NPC cards. So I just moved him to this week. So he's in week 3. So I put him in the same week there. So that way it's easy to find later. So just make sure to, do that. Because they won't all automatically be in this order. You got to put them in the same spot. So they go up to level, they go all the way up. So we're in week 4. They go all the way up to week 6 and become much, much more powerful. All right, so that is the NPC cards. There's quite a few of those, including your initial deck there. So that big deck of cards, I'm just going to put here in this last slot. All right, next up is our boss cards. So these boss cards are cards that you're going to use when you are battling some of the different bosses, and they all correspond to a different side. So for example, this is the Chimera. You can tell because of the picture down here. It also says up at the top, right up here in kind of smaller words. It also mentions some stats about how much hit points this side has, but this is the red side, blue side, green side, and orange side. Very kind of similar to the attack cards of like heroes, where there's like range and targets and damage and effects and things. And they even have like a special, the special passive related to certain quest items. But then there's also a backside to these cards. So this is the main side, or basically they'll do less damage. And then you need to basically defeat all 4 of these, get them into a main state, and then that's how you defeat the boss. But in short, that's really what the boss cards are. You will use them when you do boss fights. Otherwise, that's really the only time you're going to use those. Anyway, so all of these, there's quite a few different boss cards there. Those can kind of all just be combined up here. In fact, I might even just move these NPC cards to this spot, so that way they're all kind of more easily together, because you're going to use the NPC cards a lot more than you're going to use the boss cards. We have flask cards here. And fate cards. I'll get to those in a second. These different flasks. There's one character in the game that uses flasks as part of her deck that is magenta, and that's just basically part of her character ability. There is a few quests that use flasks, and also some of these are used, I think, in maybe in some in Arena the Wasteland Expedition. But I'd say that there's only a few quests that actually use these. It's mostly magenta that uses them. Yeah, we're just going to put them here on the right, because they won't get used a lot. Next up are the fate cards. Fate cards basically just a random draw card. Nothing more than that. So they just have a Roman numeral here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. And you'll use them for a few different quests that have you drawing random fates. That's it. You're not going to use it a lot, so that's why it's going here on this right hand side. All right, we have one more deck of cards. Sorry, I guess there's a few more, but one more group here. We have heroic actions. Heroic actions are cards that you're going to use in PvP specifically. I think there might be one quest that uses a few heroic actions, but these are primarily used in PvP. It's kind of a cool way to get one special ability to kind of surprise your opponent with. So in some ways, I guess they're kind of like scrolls, If you've seen any of my other videos, I talked about scrolls. There is no scrolls in this version, so don't let that confuse you. But heroic action cards, not going to be used a lot, mostly for PvP. So you can kind of just put them over here in the slot. All right, a lot of people have been asking about these cards. So this is Gullog the Deathbringer. He is a character from the game, a pretty big antagonist character, in fact. You'll notice that he is a special, right, because he's got this white border around his ability. He also has like a hero pad, which we'll get to later. But basically, Gullog is not actually used in the campaign. He's only used in PvP, so you know, you may not use him very often, and that's and there's no hero card for him. So you may be a little confused by this, but basically he's a bad guy in the game, so you wouldn't want to be fighting the bad guy as one of the heroes. It's a little confusing, but anyway, that's Gullog the Deathbringer. And this whole area has kind of been more focused on PvP or things that you're not going to use a lot. In fact, these next card here are the solo PvP cards. This is described in the rulebook, but basically they all have like this big like sword symbol. And this is a way for you to play the PvP game mode without anybody else, just with solo. The rules are described in there, and this provides you all the cards for it. So there should be two of... and honestly, there actually isn't cards for all the classes. There's only certain classes that's used in solo PvP just because of some of the limitations of the game mode. But anyway, so you should have these here, and let me just make sure I have the right count for people. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 solo PvP cards, and yeah, that should do it there. All right, so the last section of here is you're going to see a lot of other hero cards. I'm going to start going through these, and I'll talk as I'm kind of going. But basically, these specific cards that I'm showing you guys are heroes that don't exist in this game box. They exist like in the legendary box. In fact, the cards that I've shown so far are heroes from the legendary box. So you're not going to find attack cards for these characters or miniatures for these characters because they belong in like the legendary box. Some of these characters, which we'll get to probably pretty soon here, belong in one of the other boxes. So we're almost through the legendary box. There's quite a few legendary box characters, which is why there's like a lot of cards to show. In fact, all of these ones are so far. Of all the different classes. And then, in fact, now that I think about it, I guess they all are. So all of these are legendary box characters. So if you want to be able to get these, to use these characters and these components, you would need to own the legendary box. Yeah, so if you don't own these, then really there's not a use to these. So that's also why I have these stored right here. But if you ever do end up owning them, you'll be able to use those characters in the campaign. The last one here is Tanares, the Dragon Queen. This is a new card in Tanares Ultimate, but basically she also is another hero that belongs in a different, or comes in a different game box. So she comes in the Dragon Collection box. So she has a miniature and she has attack cards for that. But this box contains her hero card, which is brand new. She didn't have a hero card before. And basically there's a way to like unlock her and use her in the campaign. This is, yeah, Tanares. So if you do own the Dragon Collection, you can use this. If you don't, then you wouldn't be able to use this one. All right, so that is all the poker size cards there. I hope that's helped kind of make sense. We're going to move on to the mini Euro cards next, and we're almost done with this. All right, so all of these equipment here are basically, you're always going to have an armor and a weapon. So let me try to find one. So starting off with these, we have like the long sword. They just do 5 damage. You can see which classes they belong to at the very bottom. And then you see there's like an armor here. So these are all go related to like your melee based classes. And then these ones are the range classes. So then you have like the short bows. You'll notice too that these all say starter. So these are all the starter cards you're going to begin the game with. But over the course of the game, you're going to be able to start leveling them up, and you pay for these different cards with resources during the city phase. So you see that there's level 1 and this, you know, similarly, right? But they give additional abilities, and there's different specs and things you can kind of do based on the gear you get. But anyway, over the course of the game, there is more levels. So there's quite a few. So then you can see like this is a level 2 card, which costs more, but it's more powerful. Also, the other thing too is you'll notice it has like a +2 to your roll. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what it means. So when you use this, when you have this card, it gets +2 to your roll, and then when you make a hit, you can use the effect here. For example, heal 11 to an ally. You would flip it over, and then you continue to get that +2 to your roll. Even if you've used this, once you do a card cycle, then you'll be able to potentially flip this one back. That's all described in the rules. I'm just kind of giving you a little preview of how that works. And we go up to level 3 cards, as you can kind of see right there. And then the resources cost more, the card becomes more powerful. And then finally, we have our legendary based attacks there. These are the strongest cards at the end that you can get. And a lot of these cards are brand new because they were related to like the Arena of the Contest as artifacts, but now they're legendary cards, so you can use in the campaign. So you got a big stack of this equipment here. There's 2 slots here, so I'm just going to place this whole deck there, and that basically fills that whole bottom slot. 2 decks left. We have loot cards. There's 4 types of loot. There's gold. You're going to get quite a few of these. I'm not sure the exact number. I think it's in the rule book. Iron, wood, and then the last one being gems. And I think that's the least plentiful one. So you should have less gem cards. They're not all equal a number, just so you're aware. There is like differences of how many types of resources there are. All right, last deck of cards for the mini Euros. These are the hero unique skills. So over the course of the campaign, you will level up. You'll have more powerful skills. So at the beginning you start with level 1s, then eventually you get some level 2s and level 1s, and then eventually you get some level 3s. Well, eventually you'll be able to unlock level 3s, and you can replace one of these level 3s with a unique. And so let's say you were Qatar here. Basically you would just place this over this spot here, and then you can see, right, it still fulfills like the same thing it was before. It's just like a level 3. It costs the same amount, but now you can pay 3 hit points and a villain takes 20 damage. So it's a much more powerful skill, and it's unique to your hero that you're playing. So you want to get the card that matches. Thing to note, right, is Cedric and Qatar share the same sheet. So it's pretty unlikely you're ever going to have these 2 heroes on the same team, because you shouldn't have 2 brutes on the same team. But anyway, there's cards for all of the characters, even if you don't own these. Like for example, Suyoko is in here. She is the ninja character, and she comes like in the Penumbral pack full. She's a character with she can be a tactician or a controller. But even if you don't own that, you'll still have this. So in case you ever do purchase like the Penumbral pack full, you'll have all the cards for it. So kind of like the hero cards that we described earlier. So healers, shooters, controllers, tacticians, and then their backsides. And then there's even some of the Kemet Lords on here as well, sharing those. So Solnaretha is a commander, so that's why she shares the same spot. All right, so that is the last of the mini Euro deck there, and I'm just going to put them right next to the loot cards. All right, we have only a couple things left, so you're going to have, I believe, 3 reference cards here. Basically, these were, I think, just basically came right in all exactly like this, but I put the reference cards, at least with your heropads. And I'm just going to put these on top. So what are heropads? Heropads basically are the way that you're going to play PvP. So you're going to use these to play PvP, and there's one for all of the characters that come in this box. Of course, if you get the other expansion boxes, then you'd be able to get the other heroes. Basically, here is your 2 primary attacks that are unique for your hero, then their 2 special attacks, their stats, their name, their class, and then a passive that's the same across all the same class. And then on the back side is some artwork for that character. You're going to use this strictly for PvP, so there's not really any other part to that too. And then we will just basically, there's a spot right here over the top of all the mini Euros, and you're just going to place that right over the top. Put your reference cards on top there, and boom, there you go. So we've got up just about everything else. There's only really these last here. So these are the Skillpads, which I've been showing up a couple times. I believe you should have 8. You really will only ever use 4. We provided extra in case, basically, I guess if you ever damaged one, you could theoretically also have a team with 2 brutes, but I really don't suggest that. Anyway, so yeah, this is, you have 8 skill pads there. I'm going to just place these over the top of the cards in the bottom part like this. Lastly, here is the Forteller promotion and the Odalin card with the hack and slash mode. I'm just going to put all these right on top, and then we can close the box. And let me just make sure, yep, we've got it all there. Close up this box, and that's it. So that's it for the card box. Basically everything else goes exactly where it came in the box. So the only real organization we had to do is the trades, which I showed earlier. The other 2 boxes are miniatures, with the miniatures already in there. So if you watched the unboxing part of this earlier, you know exactly where they go already. And then basically we just put this back on, put the lid back on, and that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video for unboxing and storage guide for the Tanares Adventures Ultimate Box. If you have any questions, definitely make sure to leave a comment. If you like and subscribe to my videos, that would be great as well. Anyway, we'll have plenty more Tanares Adventures content coming down the line, and of course even Odalin soon as well. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you at the next one.